I call this one the Campfire Song. Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. Our CAMPFIRESONG song. And if you don't think that we can sing it faster, then you're wrong. But it'll help if you just sing along.
Bum, bum.
CAMPFIRESONG song. CAMPFIRESONG song. And if you
Hello! Welcome
Hello.
to Melee Stats Deep Dives. You hear someone chiming in already.
Hey,
Even if
yeah.
they do, they should know. The guests don't come in this early.
Oh shit.
But maybe the reason why they know that the guests don't come in this early is because this is the first time that they have ever been on a podcast with me.
Fuck. I think shit.
Now, a lot of people in the Melee community haven't been on a podcast with me, so this is not a huge distinction. It's not a crazy thing that I might know somebody who's never been on the podcast with me. But here's the crazy thing. Today I'm talking with my friend, KayB from Melee Stats.
K-fucking-B.
You would know him from the Melee Stats podcast. He was on there a couple times.
Yes, and if you've heard of me in literally any other context, you are officially a nerd in the community.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're a nerd, you might know him from the Reddit posts. Oh, God,
Oh,
that
yeah.
shouldn't be the first thing I say.
Shit. Yeah, I forgot that I had that reputation.
You might know him from 5th on the Ithaca Melee PR.
God, that's even worse.
Or 7th on the Ithaca Ultimate PR.
No, he just keeps getting worse. Yeah, no, I make I used to, well, I still kind of do on and off make posts about Japanese Melee. So if you've ever read a post that has like a fact section about Japanese Melee whenever they have a tournament on, that's me. I write those.
Yeah, they were really well done. And if you still want to follow somewhat the Japanese Melee scene and other Melee scenes around the world, you do post some cool stuff on Twitter. You do kind of like the top 16s of certain events, right?
Yeah, usually international events, just because I feel like not enough people know what's going on out there sometimes. And I just feel like just shortening that division between international scenes is just something that should probably happen a bit more than it is right now. I don't know if I'm actually accomplishing that because I have a mere 143 followers, but
143 people know more about the international scene than they did before.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's enough about me.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the AMSA retweets at one point, right?
Oh, yeah, that was dope. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, my work is actually meaning something right now. It never really accumulated anything. He actually asked me at one point to help him with the Japanese PR, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to. Just could you give me more information about how to do this? And he never responded. So I have no idea how to interpret that.
Do you remember, this is way back, this is like the first thing that Melee Stats did as a collective, is that we all were nerds, and we're all like showing off to each other. It's like when you are talking to someone who's really into music and you're like trying to say the most obscure band you know, just so you can like be cool. We were all we all got together and we all talked about how much we loved like Japanese Melee. And do you remember that we saw that there's no ranking of Japanese Melee players. There hasn't been one for years. So there was all outdated. It was still the idea that like AMSA is like 6th best, shit like that doesn't really exist. So we're like, we want to squash all those rumors. So we made our own like Japanese PR, which maybe that's not cool. Maybe like
I think they actually released one shortly.
That's
like,
the
after
thing. We like contacted them because we were like, hey, we're thinking about releasing this, but like, I guess this isn't cool to release without your permission. And they're like, oh yeah, can you not do that? We're gonna do our own.
Yeah, which kind of sucked because we did put a lot of effort on that.
We put a lot of effort into it. We had a couple things different, but like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say.
I'm very grateful for that project because that project is the only reason why I'm part of Melee Stats. Because I was reached out by I think either you or someone else that was like, hey, you know a lot of. It was either you or Edwin, and that was just like, hey, you know a lot about the Japanese scene. I see you post about it. Hey, you want to join us on this PR project? It's like, sure. What's the worst that could happen? And then Melee Stats.
Yeah, I mean, that was a cool little project, even though it never came to light, because that was the first thing that we did as a group. And like, we have the MSPR, which we did last year. We did last year twice, because I think that there was a lot more to go off of. We actually didn't do one this year yet, because I don't really think that there was enough Melee in a short enough time period where it actually mattered. But like, if it wasn't for the Japanese Melee thing that we created, I don't know if the MSPR would happen, or like these other weird projects that we do,
or if Melee Stats would just even be like, as you know what it is today.
The huge conglomerate that it is today. I don't know if
the
it would
secret
exist.
Illuminati of nerds.
The secret Illuminati. Well, we still would have been a secret Illuminati.
Yeah.
Now we're a semi-public Illuminati.
Yeah. So Smash Camp.
Oh, come on. I was about to do the transition. You know, this is what happened last time I had a Melee Stats person on the podcast. Is that Edwin's trying to tell me what to talk about, tell me where to go.
Yeah.
So, KayB.
Yes.
You're known for camping, and we have a tournament coming up called Smash Camp. What do you think?
Hey, now I'm glad I interrupted this transition, because I did not consent to that transition.
KayB, you're famous for camping.
People camp me. Anyway, yeah, Smash Camp. So I'm actually very excited for this.
Yeah. Did you look at did you watch Smash Camp when it was on the first time? So we actually had one last year and we had one earlier in this year in January. Did you see either one of those?
I watched some of the initial. I mean, I didn't watch some of the earlier matches, but I did watch like some of the later matches, like grand finals, winners finals, because like in the past, like Smash Camp was like, well, it was a fun event, but that was what it was. It was kind of like an AZ event, and you'd have like a few people come over, but it's like, it wasn't that high key. It felt like an event that was very much for the people that were going more than the viewers. So it wasn't really on my like schedule, so to speak.
Yeah. But
this time, like, because last time it was interesting. You had like Face Roll, you had Army, but and Free Palestine, Spark, West Balls even. But like, you still had like the usual AZ suspects. You also had Mix, the fucking legend Mix. But this time you have, oh my god,
there's so many people. This is like unprecedented to see this much growth in what I would still probably consider like a regional, even though there's like the talent involved like might push it to like, I don't know if it gets pushed to major. I don't know. I don't really care too much about distinctions like that.
Yeah, me too. But like this is insane. Like, these pools are really hard.
I mean, so let's look at the progression from Smash Camp, the original one. I call it 2018. It was actually December 2017. So, you know, same difference, whatever. Axe, Ty, John Wick, Squid. Those are the top 4 players at the event. And then here's the drop off after that. 5th place is Nerin and Grape. Like, can you imagine? I mean, not that, like, I think Nerin's obviously not become a player. He's doing well.
No. AZ is a very strong region, but it's, like, not, like,
it's so different to look at who placed 5th at this event, what is a little over 18 months ago, I guess, or I guess closer to, like, almost 2 years. And now we see the top 5, like, a person who places 5th here will most likely be a top 10 player.
Yeah.
It's nuts to see the growth from Smash Camp in 2017, the original one, to Smash Camp that we saw earlier, and to now Smash Camp End of Summer, which is like a bona fide super regional.
Yeah. Damn, like, this is crazy. Like, I have no words when I just kept on seeing on my Twitter notifications like, hey, I signed up for Smash Camp, and then it was always just like, hey, I also signed up for Smash Camp, and I was like, wait a minute, that's like 4 top 10 players.
It was like the hottest thing to do right after registration closed. So like registration has a cap at this event because it is, I mean, we should explain, I guess, the gimmick. It is at a camp. It is Smash that you play on campgrounds. You are in cabins, which is something that I've never been to one. I was considering this one. I actually ended up going. I'm going to main stage instead, which is a week later. But this sounds like such a cool event, and I know that the people who do it just love it.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about this event.
Yeah, exactly. But like the funny thing to me is that so immediately as they say that the registration is capped and they have a wait list of people, suddenly everybody who's anybody is like, should I go to this? Should I go to this?
Yeah.
It like got so far down the line where like I'm gonna name 2 players who I really like, but I'm going to like look at the juxtaposition between Mango and Leffen saying, I wonder if I can TPP myself into Smash Camp.
Yeah.
And then I saw Zamu and Nikki saying like, if you go to Smash Camp, I'll go to Smash Camp. And I'm like, I really like both of you. I think you're both so good, but
yeah,
you're a little bit like,
I don't know about that.
Are the gates open to anybody? Is that just what can happen? But yeah, they definitely kind of went all out on this event. I will say, Mikey, the cheat who we had on our last Smash Camp episode, we had a Smash Camp post-mortem episode that he was really fun on. One of the first deep dives. I think that was actually the first one-on-one deep dive that we've had, and now that's kind of the standard. So we had him on, and he seems to be running a really cool event. And Nick Yingling also involved, maybe known from the Nick Yingling Dave & Buster's experience or whatever that tournament was called.
Yeah.
So they seem to do a really cool job. I think that the players who are out here, this is just like such a cool event, such a stacked event.
Yeah.
Was there anything specific in pools that you wanted to talk about? So we have, you were talking about how we had really tough pools. Do you want to bring up anything in specific, like in particular?
Well, tough pools, I guess, in the sense for even if you're like semi-good, like even making it to round 2 is just hard, because like every round 1 opponent is like at least decent to even some round 1, like half the round 1 opponents have like beaten like top 100 players. Like like Curve and Nut are not like guaranteed to make top 48 at this event, and that to me at like a glance, even though like Curve is like going through a bit of a slight character crisis from trying to shift away from Luigi, but like just the fact that Nut and Curve in Smash Camp are going to enter the bracket in losers is just Zao too. Like,
well, let's talk about. So you mentioned Nut. That's actually pool A1. That's the first pool that we see. So his match to get into top 48 and winners is him versus you know what? I used to say Azel. Oh, you're right. It's Azel. I was corrected on this very show.
Oh, really?
By none than Stock Money. But
wow.
So yeah, he has to play Azel to get into top 48. That's a tough one.
I think that could go either way.
I really think it can. Yeah. So Azel's kind of a weird one. He was someone who I thought was on the super come up. He was that young Falco player. He got ranked 100. I was so excited that he was top 100. I thought that was so cool. And then he like kind of dipped for a little bit.
Yeah, kind of Ralphed, like,
oh no, kind of went the way of another NorCal Falco, just not really attending a ton.
Cheers. They're also good, but like
everyone in NorCal is good. Like
no. Yeah, everybody in NorCal is so good, but
it's just so funny because like all of them don't really play, and they're all so good.
Yeah, they don't go out that much. They kind of are just like the defenders.
Yeah. Do you have... Okay, so once again, I'm going to make fun of someone who I really like. But, like, if you're telling me that Lego is winning NorCal locals... like, that kind of speaks a lot for NorCal, doesn't it? It's like...
Oh my god. Lego fans are so mad at you right now. NorCal's up in arms.
I'm a Lego fan.
We're all Lego fans, it's sad.
We are all Lego fans.
Yeah. I do think in this matchup specifically, I think Nut, I would favor Nut just because I think he in particular is very good at the Falco matchup.
I agree.
So
that Nut is very good at the Falco matchup, and I will up the ante. Azel usually goes Fox versus Spark in region.
Oh.
He actually has a few wins on Spark. I don't know the exact count at this point, but I remember when it was the time to get to ranking, he was going through for the top 100. That is, he was doing that thing where like he'll lose the tournament to Spark, but he'll take a set. He'll do that thing. Where, like, they'll usually trade sets or something like that. So I'm not really gonna say how much that's gonna pertain to his Sheik matchup in general. I just don't know how he does versus other Sheiks. But I don't know if we're gonna see the Fox or the Falco. I think there's a pretty good chance that we might see the Fox. And
that is wow. I think that would actually make it even more interesting.
If like gun to my head, I probably still pick Nut. Just because I really can't say what's going on with Azel right now. Got 3-0'd by Sunsei.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sunsei is on the come up though.
Sunsei, the Game 5 master, we call him.
Yeah, they're just barely losing to every.
Be like in the 60s or 50s if he won all the people who he'd probably be top 50 if he won all the matches he took someone to Game 5 to. That's so funny.
Yeah. And he might not even make top 100 as a result of that, but it's like it's so depressing, but like, oh well.
Yeah, I think like all of these pools, all of the 2 versus 3 seeds seem really interesting.
Yeah.
So like if you want to move on, we have pool A2. And yeah, we can talk about like I think there's going to be interesting matches in here other than 2 versus 3, but like we got top 48 to get to, so like I don't need to talk about AMSA versus DD.
Yeah, but Hugs versus Fizz.
Hugs versus Fizz. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. We've seen.
I think Fizz will win.
I think Fizz is a good choice. Obviously, like this is the time to count Hugs out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Samus player myself. I really don't want to do my boy Hugs dirty like that. But he did at, I think, CEO, he lost to Crudo. And I think Crudo and Fizz are around the same level of Sheik. So I think the Hugs versus Fizz is going to be a testament of how much Hugs is grinding in the East Coast now. So
yeah. Oh, he's grinding in the East Coast. Just not Melee.
Oh, man.
I think Fizz is very good. Fizz is someone who I think last year was probably borderline top 100, in that 150 range, and I think he's right here there as this year. He could even be higher. I don't really know too much of what his resume is like outside of National Melee Arcadian 2, where he got top 8.
Yeah.
I think
there was another tournament.
Something like that.
He got something absurd. Like it was 3rd or 4th, something. He definitely made top 6, I think.
Definitely a good showing.
Oh yeah,
and
way better than I expected.
The cool thing about that is that like so many of the people who went to the second National Melee Arcadium would be considered good wins right now. You had Albert who got like 5th there.
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, like and right now I consider Albert probably a top 50 player. You know what? Fizz actually did beat Albert at the event. Fizz got 3rd. He beat Albert. He beat Bimbo.
Wow. Bimbo. Yeah.
Yeah, like definitely Fizz has cemented himself as someone who's really solid, and I think this Hugs win could be up for the taking. I will go on record, and I don't speak for all of Melee Stats, but I hope that they follow my direction. I don't think making fun of Hugs for being bad is funny anymore. I will say it was funny when he was losing to Prof and Crudo. Not even Professor Pro, the other Prof. I think that was funny. Now it's not as funny. I'm not calling out anybody, but some people are looking to chuckle when they look at his brackets. Look at his brackets recently. What did he do recently? He lost to like Plup and someone else. He lost to like Plup and Mike Hayes. Those are solid. He beat Cool Line. That's solid. He beat Ryan Ford's Sheik. That's fine.
That was like, and
he's Ryan not going to be Fizz. I'm making it. He's not going to be Fizz.
Yeah. I don't think there's more I could say to that.
Yeah. I think this is a testament to see have the progressions that Hugs has made in his gameplay since we really saw this huge slump, because I think that they've been happening. It's just not.
Yeah, by his words too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we saw his dip a while back, like 129th and all that. And it was more like publicized, I think, by himself and people that he was getting better. And because I think he fell kind of far, we saw his results when they finally got back to like how they used to be, it was like a big thing. And so I think we're on like kind of a smaller scale of that.
Yeah.
So like he hasn't had 129th or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we're seeing him kind of slowly inch his way up. So this is really this would be very meaningful to me if he beats Fizz. And it's kind of a lose-lose situation, right?
Yeah, it kind of is.
Like, it doesn't actually prove that much to a ton of people if he beats Fizz, even though I think that, like, personally, I would be very impressed.
Yeah, I would be, because that's the testament, right? If the degree of which he beats Fizz, if he beats him, is going to say a lot about how well he will be doing for the rest of the tournament, and a testament of how much he has trained up until that point. Because even if he beats Fizz, his round one opponent, let me check real quick, is Meds, and I think that would be also a tough matchup for Hugs. So,
yeah, I don't have any idea. Sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say I don't have any idea how AZ does against Samus, because I feel like there's Corey Games, Apple Smash, or whatever.
Yeah, Apple Smash, Taj, I guess, Violence.
Yeah. There's definitely a couple different Samus players, none of which I think are extremely notable or extremely active. I know that they don't have any Samus players on the PR, but like Meds is a scary good player right now, and I think like having Fizz into anyone Meds' level, that's rough for Hugs. Let's just kind of go through the other matches that are interesting in round one pools, and then we'll go to a longer stint on top 64. We have two players who I think both have relatively okay shots at top 100 in Aura and Zio.
Oh, yeah.
That should be interesting. Would be... We saw Aura beat NMW earlier this year, and Zio, after having that really cool 25th at Genesis where he beat like every Falco player basically, he beat like Bimbo into Ralph into Squid, into like 3-0 in Squid. He had a relatively
close... Falcon.
As a Falcon, yes, yeah. That's not easy.
No.
So like we saw him actually lose to Bladewise at the event, but it was a relatively close set. But that's the question. Like, Aura, what is he up to? He really hasn't gone to a huge event since we had that top 50 ranking. And I don't know about you, but I had Aura pretty close to Bladewise in my top 50. I don't know if you had.
I think I wasn't part of that at the time because I was just very busy. But Aura, just like, I think at that Pacific Northwest event that he did super well, I think he just blew everyone's expectations. He just looked like he didn't know how to lose. So, I completely agree that his placement near Bladewise was probably more justified than anyone would have expected.
Yeah. Did you watch the set where he took Swedish to game 5? Yeah,
I know. That was I actually watched that set. I was like, what is happening right now? It was
wild. I liked it, and I was like, I don't know if this should happen. Like, I don't. Like, I think Melee would be so cool if Aura beat Swedish, and I was rooting for him, but I was like, I would be like so much more confused about everything I know.
Yeah, it's not right. It's just not right, you know.
So I think it's sick that he's had so many good wins, and I'm like I think in my mind he's definitely top 100. Zio on the other hand is someone who I think he's so good, and he actually had another good win at last Smash Camp, at Smash Camp 2018. I'm trying to remember it.
He beat Spark.
Yeah. That's really solid to me. So we've seen him kind of taper off a bit. Has some like uncharacteristic losses for someone around his level. I think we had like Pound into National Melee Arcadian, which were two kind of disappointing results. But I'm like ready for the Zio comeback. I'm swear it's gonna happen. And I don't think this is a bad spot for it to be. Aura, I think, is a relatively doable matchup for him. I'd probably give it to Aura though, just because I think has a hot hand right now, and him beating MW does mean a lot to me.
How does he lose? I've never seen him lose.
I don't. Every time he loses, he throws. Benevolent Aura.
Benevolent Aura. Yeah, but have I seen Zeo lose either? No. So these are just two people who can't lose versus each other. I can't wait to see
this
it,
is
honestly.
The unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Yeah.
Like the tournament will not continue just because these two are playing.
Yeah. I think this will be. I low key think this is going to be one of the. This is going to be a really close set. I have a feeling
it's going to be close. A tournament set that I think is going to be close as well, which I don't think I would have said so recently. Calvar versus RTD Lou. What do you think about that? That's the poll A4.
Yeah. So NorCal has. So RTD Lou moved to NorCal. If
Yeah.
anybody knows him from Pennsylvania.
Delaware.
Delaware. Shit.
It's yeah.
Anyway, NorCal is like Marth heaven or hell, depending on how you feel about it. But like, Nintendo uses Marth, Lego uses Marth. There are so many Marth players over there, and R2D has been going to quite a few locals, I would say. And Calvar, I think some would argue that his specialty comes from floaty matchups and not necessarily this kind. He's known for that, I would say. That's fair, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. We've talked about it on the podcast before how, like, interestingly enough, Fox is probably like he's one of the closest top 100 Mars to having Fox as your problem matchup.
Yes. I remember at one local he lost to S Royale, which was bizarre to me considering that Japan doesn't have any Marths.
Yeah.
And
that is nuts. That is such a nuts result.
Yeah. I can't believe that happened.
Man, I wish I could remember. So there was some really weird local from MDVA that Calvar went to where he lost to Frostbite and then lost to like another Ices and Losers. This was like the matchup he was revered in. So like the dude is definitely, he has his weird one-off results like, you know, S Royal and those two Icy players. But
but his resume is very consistent.
Like having a resume that includes hacks, slocks, lucky, like it's so weird to say, yeah, I mean this Fox player might be scary for Calvar and see this thing as well. But we've seen at the last event that Calvar went to, the last big event was Shine, albeit I believe that he might have had a new controller, but he got 3-0'd by Kevin Maples.
Yeah, that was and I saw that live and that was very brutal. Like losing 2 sets on FD as Martha versus Fox.
Yeah, that's the thing that Ambi tweets are made out of.
Yeah,
you're scared after you lose on FD once because you're like, if I do this again, I'm getting subtweeted. I'm getting subtweeted by someone who's got 1,000 followers.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty.
No.
And just moving on, you've got the person who has been grinding the Marth matchup, and everybody also knows even before he moved to NorCal, he is on the unfortunate end the person who faced Stango the most. One
of Melee's most lopsided rivalries between two notable players, I think it's safe to say. I think it's like Infinity and 2.
Yeah, if you know of any others like Bobby Big Balls versus Jerry.
That's still close. Yeah, I mean, still was closer.
Still was closer. I guess Crush
Kel's
versus
Michael.
Mafia.
I think Crush Mafia's. Yeah, that's coming up there. You're right. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, but that record was terrible. But the point is, R2D has a lot of Marth practice, so who knows? This might be a really scary matchup for Calvar.
I'd give it to Calvar for sure. I think D-Lou was at a local where I think he beat like Rocky, and he might have beat someone else there good. Obviously, that's a local, but like he was looking pretty good. I don't know, obviously, what his concentration is. He's a working man. I don't know if he's grinding the game as hard as he used to be, but I could definitely see him pull this off. I would probably say that Calvar is someone who I expect to win it more. We've got some matches that I think are less interesting.
Okay.
So I'm going to name a couple ones that I think are interesting. So let me know if there's any that you think I missed. But I looked through the next couple ones, and there's just like a few that I want to point out, and then I want to get into the real meat, which is going to be the top 48. So one of the ones that really stood out to me was Ty versus Ryobeat.
Yeah. I'm interested. That one's interesting.
That should be really cool because the last time they played, I want to say it was the Big House. I feel like that could be wrong, the Big House 8, but I believe that the last time they played, Ryo beat 1.
Yeah. But Ty gets that AZ buff. He always does pretty well at AZ events, I would say, on average. So
it's been a weird year for Ty because we really
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen like the marquee wins that he maybe used to have. He actually was a player who, even last year, I was like, it was pretty late into the year when I was like, I don't know if this dude's gonna be top 100, and then he ended up doing pretty solid, and like he ended up obviously having a strong enough resume that he proved that he is top 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been like a little bit of a weird one for him. Actually, it wasn't. I don't think it was Big House 8, but regardless, I believe the last time they played, Ryobi did win. Yeah, I mean, we've seen like some weird losses. He lost to Tatua. He lost to Tank. I feel like there's some other players. But like he's a Marth player. He can always turn it on.
Yeah. Edwin's not gonna like us for that one.
Edwin is on his so-called break from Melee. You know what's so-called about it? He texted me like a week after talking about like some Melee thing. He texted me today talking about this thing he saw in the Save Us Untitled video. Like, you're not retired if you're watching Save Us Untitled videos. I'll say that.
Oh
much.
God! Oh no! So many call-outs. Usually that's my thing.
These aren't call-outs. I'm just saying, if you say you're retired from Melee, you're not watching Save Us Untitled videos.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you have plausible deniability because he texted me and he said, "Yo, what the fuck? Toussaint beat the Puff Slayer Ginger today?" And I said, "Aren't you on a break?" And he said, "Am I not allowed to use Twitch.tv in silence or saying hello to stock?" Like, I'm getting like, what? Who the heck is this guy? But
Yeah.
it's like regardless, plausible deniability if you watch a big or a large event. But I don't know, if you're watching Save Us Untitled videos, you're not retired.
So did you see what was it, John Wick versus Fat Goku?
Yeah, that should be a little interesting. Before we move on, do you have any thoughts on who's going to win, Ty versus Ryobeat? I might go Ryobeat on this one.
I think I'd go Ryobeat. I think I'd go Ryobeat,
I think
actually.
Puff Marth or Peach Marth is so annoying for Peach, but I'm willing to say that Ryobeat's able to do it after he's already been after he apparently already won. I like can't seem to find this match, but I think like in my mind I know it happened. So
it doesn't sound unreasonable, so
I'll just be the thing that I hate and just talk about Melee things that are made up as if they're a fact. But yeah, let's talk about John Wick and Fat Goku. After this, I actually want to just point out one more, and then we should move our way over to top 48.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
I think I'd save the best for last. John Wick, Fat Goku. John Wick, probably best known for beating Moki last Evo. Just an AZ player who really doesn't go out to much, but has proven to be a Spacey Slayer.
And Falcon Slayer. This guy is really good against fast fallers.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. I think John Wick is really good. He like found his way on a top 100 ballot at one point.
Yeah.
Just because he had really solid results, but without it really attending much. So it's hard to say. Yeah, like he can beat Fox, but I feel yeah, go on.
He is one of those. There are because Melee is so close together because of media, just regions, and so many tournaments nowadays. I think it's kind of hard to find someone who's like truly a hidden boss. But John Wick, I think, is definitely one of those people that are just like people will always underestimate. This guy, along with like other people like J-Mook and like the other people. John Wick is among one of those people that I think you can't. This guy is always going to do something that is, at least in every event that he attends, he's going to be one really good player.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be Fat Goku.
I think, you know what? I think I believe in John Wick on this one. I think I believe in him.
Fat Goku had a really close set with Pew Pew at Emerald City 8, where he took Pew Pew to Game 5.
Yes.
And it definitely seemed really winnable. So like in addition to possibly having Marth matchup experience, I don't want to say like that he plays Marth all the time. I know he's got DaCosta in the Shell in his region. I don't know how often they play.
Great tag, by the way.
It is a good tag. I think Oregon is the home of Fat Goku. Great. It's one of those tags where you just don't think about it as individual things because we talked about it so much. It's like how you don't understand how dumb the tag Mewtwo King is because we're constantly saying it.
Yeah.
Fat Goku is a good tag. DaCosta in the Shell, good tag. God with a Wavebird, I believe, is Oregon.
Great tag.
I think God with a Wavebird is playing Mango here. I could be wrong, but I know he's playing. He's in the bracket at some point. He's in the pools.
Oh man.
But yeah. So I'd probably go Fat Goku. I think just overall being a better player and having close sets with Marth players who I think are above Fat Goku's talent makes me say that.
Yeah.
I think that Fat Goku would probably win that one. And
yeah.
the other one that I wanted to mention, right? You're not gonna pull some Spark Reach. You're not gonna pull some dumb shit like that, right?
No, I absolutely don't. There's no way. If I didn't know this match, then I would say I truly did not know.
I would end this call right now and I'd be doing a solo cast if you didn't know the last one. Okay, so let's talk about it. So
do you want me to guess which one it is?
I want you to tell me. It's not gonna be a guess because you're that confident. Tell me.
Okay, I'm being put on the spot, but is it not Kalamazoo Lego?
Oh my God, no, it's not. Wow. This is wild. Kalamazoo Lego. I think Keizu's good. I think he's getting there. I think Keizu's still better. Marth Peach, I said I don't like. I think Marth can win that one. But no, I don't. If you want to talk about that, we can. I'm talking about Free Palestine Curve.
Wait, are you serious?
Free Palestine Curve, yeah.
Well, I was also interested in that, but how can you not talk about a boy Lego?
I like Lego. I've talked about it in the past. Lego.
Am I being kicked off of Melee Stats?
I don't know if Melee Stats is a bigger fan of Lego than Lego is a bigger fan of Ambi. Like I failed to find people who like stuff in their life more than Lego likes Ambi.
Oh man, that's heartwarming to me. Ambi's content is truly up there with one of the best. Especially his tweets recently. They've been amazing.
He's just pushing out great content on all fronts. Long form, short form. He called PBR a bad beer, which we'll get into that.
I saw that.
We'll get into
that.
So
do you think Free Palestine will go Sheik or Marth? I think someone said he'd go Sheik against Curve, but if he goes Marth,
I think Marth would be hilarious.
I think so. I genuinely hope that would happen. If people aren't familiar with Curve, I'm sure people are, but Curve is probably one of the biggest Marth haters in the world.
He is the only person who I know who has called for a ban Marth campaign.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about maybe we should ban wobbling or we should institute a ledge grab limit or we were talking about this and he's like, just ban Marth.
Just ban Marth, the real villain of Melee.
So Curve is a noted Marth hater. You viewers, I got to say viewers last week because we did a video aspect of it. You listeners will possibly know him as the person who
that's right,
played 30-second set with Kodorin. He nared. I think he shot like a laser 2 and then he nared. He got crouch cancel down throwed. And then just fell off the ledge and didn't do anything. It was crouch cancel down throw into fist bump.
Yeah. And just so people are clear, it was technically for comedic effect. If I remember correctly, Curve had to be somewhere. Yet amazing clip nonetheless.
I think it is a great moment. I think it is so. He added so much to the Melee scene by doing that.
I did. He added entropy. Always grows. It's always growing in this world, and Curve just added a bit more to our world that day.
So I will say, to talk to the Curve truthers in the audience. he has DQ'd in bracket before against Marth. I don't know if you know this. There are brackets where he DQs in winners and stays on in losers because he just doesn't want to play the Marth.
So
I would say Free Palestine's best bet is to play Sheik. I think Curve actually doesn't do incredibly poorly against Marth. He's beaten Lego a few times, and I think that, I really don't know what to take of Free Palestine's Marth because we don't see it a ton, but I would say it's probably, at best, would be around the level of Lego.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment.
So I don't know if that Sheik is, or if that Marth is going to be able to beat the Luigi. But I also, Curve, he made a tweet way back when that he was going to drop Luigi only for, Puff, Ices, and Fox, which is a weird group of characters to, keep Luigi for. And he was going to pick up Fox for all these other matchups, apparently. So I don't really know. There's sets where he goes Fox versus your SoCal Sheiks Nut and whatever. But he's also going Luigi a ton. So I would say most likely 90% chance we are seeing a set of Luigi Sheik.
Yes, I do think it would. But there's so many because this is a Pandora's box, right? There's so many different character combinations that we could get here. We could have Sheik Fox, we could have Marth Luigi, we could have Marth Fox, and Marth Luigi and Marth Fox then extends to possible DQ. But but I think it's really interesting. What if Curve goes Fox, and then beats Free Palestine in game 1, but then Free Palestine switches to Marth? Then what happens? Then
it's a 1-0 DQ.
Yeah, that might be unprecedented where you go up 1-0 and then DQ. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I think it'll be interesting to see. I really don't know what to call that one. I think that could go either way. I'd say that's a toss-up. Maybe lean in the favor of Free Palestine just because, we've mentioned, he hates Marth, and I think Sheik is favored versus Luigi. And I just don't think his Fox is nearly at the level of play that he shows with his Luigi. So I would say most of those matchups would theoretically be losing, any of those matchups that they would end up playing. So I'd probably say Free Palestine would be more likely to win. I don't know what you think about that.
I think Free Palestine would win. I just think that every time I think Curve will win, he ends up losing, and that just makes me sad. But I really like Curve, and I think I would not be surprised to see, because I think both of these players are essentially around the same level. They're always the one that get upset, but also are the ones that are always that person that is that bracket threat. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see this very specific matchup, because I think it's going to be very indicative of who's going to upgrade to that next level of I guess the MPGR.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both of them are, if not top 100 skill level right now, because I think that's hard to call for the level that they would be coming in. I think there are some newcomers who you can feel pretty confident in showing up on the list. I think, your Cool Limes, your Kevin Maples, Aro, we already mentioned. I think there's some people who we can pretty confident saying that they're going to show up on there. But yeah, Curve, Free Palestine, both of those players, that's so hard to say. And I think a good win here could end up seeing them move on. And I think
Free Palestine was Mr. 101.
Free Palestine was Mr. 101. Maybe he'll get onto the list proper this time. And it'll be a good showing because whoever wins this actually gets basically a bye. Bananas
to face the great player Trap Lord, most likely.
Yeah, Bananas is
not
in
coming.
the seating, but he is not actually going to attend. So unfortunately, I think Bananas versus Curve in particular would be very cool. Bananas versus Free Palestine, of course, still would be cool. But I think Curve versus Bananas, that would be really interesting to see. But yeah, we're probably going to see Trap Lord versus one of those two players. And then the winner would end up playing None, which I would favor
I can't see any of
None pretty heavily in both.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are beating None.
Yeah. So we're into top 48. Is there anything really interesting you want to talk about that happens in winners round 1? I think there's a couple different things. At this point, we should probably just kind of select what really stands out to us, because we really got to talk about, like, as we get further in there, we're just going to talk longer and longer probably. So do you see any ones that you really want to mention? We already mentioned Meds, Aura.
Well, yeah, I think Aura Westballs just might be interesting, just because I think Aura has that hot hand assuming he gets past Zero.
I meant to say Meds Hugs, but yeah, Aura Westballs. I was looking at it. That's why because I think that's a really interesting one.
Meds Hugs we already talked about. Kalamazoo Albert I also think is KayB,
definitely a player who we haven't seen a ton of this year. Still with Genesis and Full Bloom and really not a ton. But he is going up against Albert. Albert ended up beating Bladewise this year at the Kid, the Goat, and the Mango. And it's hard to say with these peaches who don't really attend much. Like, does KayB win? Is that possible? Like, if you've beaten Bladewise, I don't know. But I think definitely possible for Albert.
Because I think the wider Melee community that may not be familiar with like an individual player. I mean, people know KayB, but everybody's looking at Albert right now. He just is he's the guy that beat HBox, possibly the biggest upset in Melee history.
That's what we say on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it is. And every tournament that Albert shows up, everybody's always gonna say, how is this guy gonna do? And Albert KayB, honestly, I really can't say who's going to win that. And I think if Albert beats KayB, in my opinion, I think that's the sign that Albert is that top 40, top 30 level. Because I think if he can consistently kind of like beat that tier of player, I think that's the difference that Albert had never had in the past.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because I think that Albert is relatively strong versus Peach. He has a couple Peaches in that in his area. I know for sure Purple Skoo is there. I think Blue's Clues is also from Houston, which is where Albert's from.
Yeah, I just want to be careful with Texas in particular, since a lot of cities are really far away with each other. So a lot of players, so some of Texas players don't actually play each other as much as we think they do, but
I try not to say, oh, Albert and Mojo play all the time. There's like a 7-hour difference. I try not to say that, but I do believe that Houston itself, which I believe is where Albert's from. Oh my God, am I confusing Houston with Austin? I don't even remember. But wherever Albert's from, I believe is in the same region as Blue's Clues and Purple Skoo, who are both decent Peach players. Definitely has Peach practice if that's the case. Already beaten Bladewise. Maybe I'll go on the limb. I'll say I think Albert has this one.
Yeah, and Albert also a person that has shown that he's probably one of the most well-practiced players in Melee. He's shown that he can definitely excel in matchups that he's not as experienced with. So. The Reddit guide, the guide to getting better. The new Umbreon post on Reddit.
Man, people don't even remember what that Umbreon post was.
Yeah, it was just Guide to Jurassic Improvement, I think it was called on Smashboards. If any of you ever remember that post, but that was pinned for a long time.
Yeah, you're talking to a new age of people. The audience doesn't know that.
Yeah. Umbreon retires, like top players are going like, oh no, and Reddit's like, who the fuck? Yeah.
So there's a couple other cool matchups here. We kind of talked about Fat Goku Calvar. I feel like we kind of said the same thing about Calvar versus Dilu. So we already talked about Fat Goku versus John Wick. So I think we don't really need to talk too much about that. Yeah. And I don't know if you're down to move on to winners round 2, but that's
I'm down.
Yeah. So we got a couple interesting matchups here. We have Axe versus Fat Goku. So the way that the pool structure is set up is actually we see the top 8 seeds who they play their pool and then they get a bye in winners round 1. So
12 pools.
12 pools, yes. So this is the first time that we see a lot of these players have to actually face a substantially good opponent. So Axis would play Fat Goku. I still think Axe these days favored against Fox players, especially younger Fox players like that.
Yeah.
I think Fat Goku's the type of player who could give him a good
Run
showing.
for his money? Yeah.
Maybe not run for his money. Not that far. But
No.
I think he's one of those people who can take game off him. Possibly bring him to game 5 if he's really on fire. But yeah, I'd say Axe is pretty solid.
Winners round 2 is this whole event best out of 5 or is it just
That's a good question.
Winners round 2? I'm actually not aware of that. So.
I have no idea.
I would assume that top 48 at least winners round 2 is best out of 5.
Yeah.
I would be genuinely surprised if winners round 2 was not.
I think these matches right here are probably pretty likely best of 5.
I know round 1 of last Smash Camp was best out of 3 and round 2 was best out of 5. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, I mean at the very least, the things that we're talking about right now probably going to be under best out of 5.
Yeah.
So we already mentioned None versus the winner of Free Palestine Curve. You know what? Free Palestine Curve or Trap Lord.
Yeah.
Trap
Lord.
We're going to talk about None having kind of a relatively free winners round 2. So we see S2J Spark. I think S2J's got that pretty solidly. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, it's always interesting to me because I think Face Roll is doing comparatively a lot better against S2J than he ever did before.
Uh-huh.
And to me, like in my mind, I was always like Captain Face Roll, Spark. These are the two Sheiks that are running like the new age.
Yeah, right.
Of Sheik, right? Like so. Every time that I see Face Roll doing something, it's always not very long until Spark, I feel like, follows suit, right? So, who knows? Who knows? I think that we might see something special here. But my gut is S2J. It's S2J all the way. He's really good. But Spark? I just think that was just an interesting matchup.
That is funny because, like, they definitely, until this year, definitely were ranked within, like, 10 spots of each other all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, they're always in that same ballpark generally. I would say Spark never struck me as extremely good versus Falcon, but you know what? I didn't see that from Face Roll until like this year. And obviously he did have wins before, but like thinking of him as one of those Sheiks who are really good versus Falcon kind of was a recent thing. So, I could see it from Spark, but I have S2J pretty solidly. One of the more.
So here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
No, this one everybody's been talking about this because every time that AMSA, Army. Now, every time that AMSA faces an Ice Climbers, you get two different types of people. You have one people who's like, this is going to be the freest shit in the world. Because if anybody knows anything about AMSA, he is, I think, has only like a losing record against one Ices, or I think has a winning record, but has lost against one Ices, and that's DizKid Boogie. But every single other Ices, so Chudat, I think Fly and did he?
He did play Army last. He did beat Army last time they played. I don't know if he's played Bananas.
I don't think he's played Bananas.
He's beaten Nintendo. He beat Nintendo at SmashCon 2016 or something like that.
Yes, in a bit of a close set. And he's beaten Army. So the question is just like, this is gonna be the freest thing ever. AMSA free bracket. He's got an Ices. Let's go. Or is this the time where we see AMSA's streak end? And it always has, because the last time he was up against Nintendo, very scary set. He almost lost that.
Game 5 with Chu this year at Smash and Splash.
Yeah, people are learning the matchup, so.
It could be something where we think of AMSA as kind of the slayer of Ices, but that might not always be the case. And Army. Okay, so I will say, no one has Yoshi practice outside Tokyo. That's what. I don't care who your Yoshi is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Grandma's Cat Game or Whiskers. You don't have AMSA practice.
Yeah. So, but I will say, Army is probably the most well-versed out of the good Ice Climbers players versus Yoshi. I think him and Nez Modgod are both 805. I believe they're both the same region. I can't say how often they play in the same region, but considering they both live relatively close to each other, I wouldn't be surprised if Army does have the most practice out of any of the top Ice Climbers. And I obviously since this bracket is the bracket's kind of weird because it actually didn't show this a couple of days ago, so I don't know how prepared a lot of top players are. I don't know how much they're looking at this to see if it changes, but in a situation where Army gets to prepare for AMSA, I think that could definitely be scary if he does have an attribute like Nez, like an actual Yoshi practice partner. I would still say AMSA. I still feel pretty confident in AMSA, but yeah, you're right. Like this matchup that a lot of people feel very confident in, just because of the overall number of like how many times he's won against Ice Climbers.
Yeah,
I think they kind of lose the sight of what it really is, because there's a lot of these matchups a lot of these sets that he ends up winning are usually pretty close.
I will say, as a bit of a caveat to that matchup, that like, so Army will have to face Tai, but if Tai loses to Ryobeat, then we could have Army Ryobeat, and that could also be very interesting. I will say that I've heard that Ryobeat is not very well practiced against Ice Climbers, but I don't know. That matchup might not even happen. I
don't know if Ryobeat is good or bad. I know that he lost to Cool Line, but I don't know what that says.
Everybody loses to Cool Line.
Everybody loses to Cool Line. So yeah, that might be a ringing endorsement, like that he took a game from Cool Line.
I will say I was at Big House and I walked up to a setup with Ryobeat on it, and I was like, "Hey, Ryobeat, you want a money match or like play friendlies?" And then he turned to me and was like, I'm sorry, dude. I can't. I have to play Sharks here. I don't get that much Ices practice. Like, I can't play a money match with you." And he was very nice about it, but that moment just stuck to me.
So like, do we have a melee stats enemy?
No, please.
Should we mobilize the melee stats army? Docs Ryobeat.
Well, I don't know. That moment just stuck out to me. It was just like, does Ryobeat have a problem against Ices? And when I thought about it, I guess like Tri-State doesn't really have that many Ice Climbers, especially since Diz Kid Boogie is like no longer plays melee. But that always like stuck out to me, that maybe Ryobeat has a bit of a like Ices experience that I think could. We'll see how it pays off against Army if he beats Tai.
Yeah,
I just wanted to briefly mention that. Yeah,
I think you're right. I don't think they have a ton of really great Ices players, and I think one of the more notable ones from Tri-State would be JJM. But the thing with him is, I think he does what Nintendo used to do, which was, I think he would go Peach versus Peach. He would do the Ditto.
I see.
So like that doesn't really help if one of your only Ices players, who you might not even play because of the way that Tri-State's set up, I think JJM's Jersey or whatever, like I believe Ryobeat might be New York City. Like, doesn't really help particularly that this player who's probably not incredibly close to you, if you do play at an event, is not going to go Ices. But, who knows?
Yeah.
So I think that is a good call. I think I would pick AMSA over that. Next one we have is Mango versus his training partner Keizu, or versus Albert. I don't know if
versus Albert.
Yeah. I don't know if either of those are particularly interesting. I know that we could do the thing that I talk about every time Mango has to play Falco, which is like, well, he lost to Magi.
Magi, yeah.
I mean, I will say, I did this before he lost to Magi, not in public. That's my issue. I did it in private, where I was like, it's been like a year since he had to play a good Falco player.
Yeah.
And he had not a close set, but like, he had a set versus Rocky at some event where it was like 3-1 or whatever. But I was like, yeah, it's been a long time since we actually got to see him versus like a really good Falco player. And then suddenly, as I say this, he loses to Magi. But
yeah, he's
proven this year. He beat Ginger pretty handily. And I think Mango versus Albert probably isn't incredibly scary for Mango. I think Mango versus Keizu most likely isn't scary for him. Being training partners might be a little scarier considering, well, I guess you're on even playing field, right? Like, you know the nooks and crannies of each other's play. So probably would defer to the better player being able to beat up on their practice partner, but we'll see. Is there anything you want to mention about that? Because I think the next one is going to be close to your heart.
Gosh, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, let's move on to Captain Faithful.
So we have Sheik Ditto coming up.
if any of you don't follow Duck on Twitter, he has been labbing. He's been labbing this game. Not with the character we all think, though.
No.
He's been labbing a lot of Sheik.
He's been labbing a lot of Sheik.
A lot of cool things with Sheik that I'm stealing, but...
They are cool. But it's not his character.
It's not his character.
We're going to see Captain Faceroll versus Duck. I was going to say, considering if Duck has a really good run to this, because he has to play the winner of Nut versus Azel, which I think both are pretty solid for him. So
I think, hopefully.
Faceroll, Duck, I mean, like, we talked about it on the last couple episodes about how all Samus mains are, like, kidding themselves. Like, no, he's just, like, playing around. Like, he's having fun. He's just, like, playing around with Sheik, and then he'll go Samus, right?
I'm very scared of at least I don't have to make memes. The melee stat meme of KB's Falcon would be Duck can die, because I'm never beating a Sheik.
Who knows? I don't know. It's possible that the meme might extend. But yeah, realistically, what % chance do you think we see Duck Sheik?
5%.
I think that a low percent, probably like 5 to 10% seems solid. I think there are matchups that we could have seen that would have a significantly higher percentage, like if he had to play none or something.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, I think that leaving your character that you've played for so long to play the Sheik Ditto of all things is kind of a scary concept.
Has Duck expressed because all I've seen is him labbing stuff. Has he actually expressed any intention of using Sheik in tournaments?
Look with your eyes, man. See it for what it really is. If you make 10 tweets about like all these things that Sheik players should do, this is how it starts. You think?
But it could be like an Armada situation where he just plays someone else's character, just says, I have the tech, but I'm not telling anyone, and then just goes about his merry way of playing our, like, Peach again. Then, like, who knows? It could be like that.
No, I think it's like a plup thing. I think he's telling himself that it's just for fun, but he feels alive when he plays this character.
Using Sheik in a casual setting because his friends encouraged him, and then he started getting addicted.
The dopamine, man. It's all the serotonin from playing Sheik. You're just a little faster.
Well, if he goes Sheik against Faceroll, Duck isn't winning.
No. But
no, he's not
what would
winning.
you say? If he goes Samus, how do you think that fares? I think Faceroll...
He isn't winning.
I think this is a hard bracket for Duck, just that right there. And if, by the grace of God, he beats Faceroll, we see him playing Mango.
I think that I would be so hyped for that. If he beat Faceroll and then has to play Mango, every time that happens in bracket, I am always ready.
Hasn't Mango literally never lost to a Samus or something as like his actual characters?
Yes. And there have been several sets of Mango Duck in the past. There's been a Mango Duck in the past where, like, most recent one that I remember, Mango creamed Duck. It was not very close. I think it was a 3-0. I don't remember what the stock counts were, but that doesn't matter. But there was a tournament several years ago. It was at Summit that Duck got into where he made an amazing run. And he lost to Mango 3-1, but it was a very close 3-1.
Yeah.
And I think there was even a time where he brought Mango to game 5. I don't remember if that happened, but I think that if any time that Duck can make an upset, it's not now. He's clearly, like, not, hasn't really entered tournaments. I don't know if he's really been playing the game or not. I don't think he has been. So I don't think it'll happen if he even manages to beat Faceroll to begin with. But I just want to say, if it happens, I will not shut up about it.
I think that would be an insane upset. I remember when Canada Cup last year? Was that the tournament?
Canada Cup. Canada Cup.
Duck 3 on H-Box.
The possibly rigged set.
I remember, I'm going to assume it was Edwin, because this is such an Edwin question, asked if it was more likely that he'd 3-0 H-Box or 3-0 Mango, and I was like,
I thought it was Webbs.
Was it Webbs?
Oh, no. Webbs was the one who said it was 100% guaranteed to be rigged.
H-God only loses when he so chooses. We know that's a Webbs quote.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think Edwin did ask that question, whether or not he's more likely to beat HBox or Mango, and he beat HBox. I would have said he's more likely to beat Mango, but he beat HBox.
I don't know, dude. Mango's scary with these, like, he seems so fallible, but
right.
he's like really untouchable at certain things. So I don't know. This could be the year, right? If we see him play Wizzy, it could be the year where his Falcon streak ends. I don't think this Samus streak is going to end. I'd like to see him play Duck. I just want to see more Duck. You know, this year we really haven't seen a ton. So more Duck would be great, but I probably would say Facial wins this. Do you have any thoughts on Zane Meds? I know Meds does well against Fox or against Marth. He really likes Fox Marth both ways, but like,
yeah,
I think this is kind of a really uphill battle for him.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on this other than the fact that I know Meds has beaten La Luna or the Moon or whatever you call it.
That was one of his first breakout things, was like always beating La Luna, and he beat Pew Pew earlier this year in a reverse 3-0, I believe, at the Kid to Go in the Mango. So,
Arizona, another Marth heavy region.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely possible, because I really think that Meds is really good, but
I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think it'll happen. I don't think any chances.
Yeah.
But I will say it's possible. But I also will say
I think it'll be, he has a chance of taking it to Game 5, but I don't think I'm giving it more than that.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, if we see the Zane that almost lost to Fiction, who knows? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Even then, I would still probably favor Zane. The next one I think is a little more interesting. We have Ginger Westballs. That was one of the things that really solidified Ginger as a really solid player when he beat Westballs at the Big House 7. So what do you think about that? This is, I believe, the first time that they've had a run back since.
I think I'd favor Ginger.
I think Ginger's definitely the smart pick here. He's someone who seems to lab matchups a little more than Westballs does. I don't really know how much work they actually put into it, but how they present themselves definitely shows that.
I have to say, I'm not really super familiar with Ginger's Falco experience in general. I will say that he beat Westballs before, but that was also 2 big houses ago.
That was a long time ago, and this year the matchups that we've seen Ginger play in the Falco Ditto have both been losing. He lost to Mango, which of course doesn't really say a lot, and he lost to Santi, which I don't know what that says. I literally don't know what that means.
But he didn't the Mango Ginger game go to did that go to Game 5, or am I crazy?
I really don't think so. And maybe this is my rose tinted glasses looking back at Mango, but I really don't think it was all that close. Okay, you know what? Actually, I will say. So I watched one set. They played 2 sets
Game 5.
I watched the Smash and Splash one, which was not as close. But yeah, you're right. He did take him to Game 5 at SmashCon, which I actually missed that set. So maybe that's why it was not in my brain. I think Ginger's the smart pick here. Westballs is definitely someone who can really turn it on when he wants to, and has been on a baby upswing. Biggest performance recently probably been Smash Factor, where he won over Meds and Lucky. So I think we could see it, but probably favor Ginger. And I
would also like to see Aura versus Ginger. I think that would be funny too.
Oh, that'd be sick. What if Aura just plays Zane?
Yeah, that would be funny. Because I will never. I mean, Ginger's a good player, but I will never forget the time that he lost to Mog.
He lost to Mog, yeah.
He lost to Mog. It's crazy that he upbeat into every fair imaginable.
They had a fun Twitter interaction because Mog was listing his wins on the Falcos. And he was saying, I don't know if you know Mog, but he's a very, the way that he says stuff I think is very funny.
I follow Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, so he was saying, these Falco players can't touch this. It was a very funny way to say that you beat these players in money matches.
Yeah.
And Ginger was like, man, I offered to money match you again. You said you were busy. It's it was really funny that he was trying to prove that he's a better player. Cause it's punching down kind of, but I don't know, when you're the big dog and people are trying to take shots at you, I guess you kind of do got to do that, but it was very funny see this person.
Yeah.
Ginger, I think that Ginger, his online presence is a mystery to me. He seems uncomfortable in both the role of the nice guy and the role of like the aggressor.
The mean guy.
It's like
that's actually a really good way of putting it.
I've heard nothing but good things about him in person, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But somehow, when he gets his Twitter fingers out, he like seems insincere in both matters. And I'm just like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean exactly. That's actually so funny that you pointed it out that way.
So we both have him winning. So most likely is going to end up playing Zayn in our predictions. I think the same thing with that. I think Zayn has a pretty good bracket to get to at least winner semis. What do you say? You think he's going to be Ginger? Zayn. We're talking about Zayn here. Does Zayn beat Ginger?
Yeah, I mean, Zayn is going to beat him, but I'm just like curious to what degree. Because
that's why I'm repeating myself, because it's like, you're taking a long time. Did you hear the question correctly?
Yeah, I'm just like thinking, like, I don't know. I'm always like, because Ginger is always on the upswing. He's always getting better and better. I'm just like, I think Ginger will win this. I mean, sorry, not Ginger, Zayn.
Oh my god, I was like, what am I witnessing here? Ginger's always been on the swing. Ginger gets better. You know what? He'll do it.
No. I miss, but I think Zayn will beat Ginger. I guess there's not really much to say about that. No, I guess it wasn't really based on anything.
I think that one's pretty solid. Let's move on. Yeah. So we talked about Mango Duck, which you would rip your shirt off and run around Ithaca if it happened.
Yeah, but my already ripped Uniqlo shirt. Thanks, Cornell Dry Cleaning.
Man, there's a. I don't know how public this is, because I think you're saying this all in the private Discord, but I mean, if you say it in the public Discord, people can see it in the Discord that's linked below. But,
yeah. Join the Discord if you want to see more of KB's broken leg saga.
But yeah, there's quite the saga. The last time people have heard you on a Melee Stats affiliated podcast, you were a different person completely. There's a saga that took you down some crazy paths.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if I want to get into it, but you have a cast now.
I'm recovering. I'm out of the cast now. But,
okay, cool.
Yeah,
you have an eye patch.
Yeah.
Scars.
Lost my family in a brutal accident.
Let's talk about Smash Cam.
So Mango face roll, which is probably more likely going to happen.
I still think face roll. No, I still think Mango. That's like the same thing you did with Ginger. Saying,
okay.
I still feel pretty confident in Mango having this. He had the close set with Swedish at the tournament he ended up winning, where he was like literally one hit away. The biggest choke of all time, I guess. But Swedish I don't think is incredibly dissimilar from face roll in skill level, but I think this is definitely going to be a little harder for face roll than it would be for Swedish. And even then, I don't even know if Swedish would have it in this situation. I'd probably pick Mango. What are your thoughts on that?
I would pick Mango. Yeah. Mango.
What are your thoughts on S2J AMSA? Because that's an
interesting one.
In comparison to, we talked about how he is perceived in the IC matchup, and how we might actually see the sets go out. I think the opposite kind of thing has happened with the Falcon matchup, where that was the first thing that we really knew about his quote unquote comeback to Melee. Him being able to travel more to the U.S. Starting in late 2017 was kind of marked by losing to Wizzy, losing to S2J. Like, people were like, oh, it's okay. Like, he can go really deep in bracket if he just doesn't hit a Falcon.
Or a Peach. Yeah, he released, like, when he was coming out to those events in like 2014, 2015, he listed on he made a tier list, like a matchup chart of Yoshi, and he said the two hardest matchups in the game, two that were equally just as hard, were Falcon and Peach. And I think this is largely attributed to the two very good Falcon and Peach players in Japan, Gucci and Shipu respectively, that would always beat AMSA, and that would carry on into his US results. Mm-hmm. But now at SmashCon, He beat S2J very convincingly.
He really did. He beat S2J. He had a set on Wizzy, which I don't think is really indicative of how their sets would go. But yeah,
it was a very long time ago.
He 3-0'd S2J at SmashCon. He ended up beating him at Smash Summit. Like last Smash Summit, I believe he had that set with Wizzy, which is super close, but he ended up kind of losing it. But yeah, I think this is a really interesting match. Do we see the same set that we saw at SmashCon? We saw S2J kind of not playing as well as he might used to, but he's fresh off of second at Shine. With literally only playing Foxes, I guess. But
yeah.
I think I would probably favor S2J at this. I think this is a toss-up, though. Like, in terms of what we're seeing in winners' quarters, the biggest toss-up. This is the 4 and the 5 seed. I really think it could go either way.
Yeah. I think so too.
So I think the other one that we're gonna see in winners quarters, not so much. Axe None.
Yes. I don't think that'll
I think None is a great player, and I think None has been improving so much recently.
He has done very well this year.
We've seen his performance at SmashCon, which is huge. That was like 5th at SmashCon. That really opened my eyes to him being someone who was still at the same skill level that he used to be. We saw him ranked 29 instead of 16 or whatever, and that's really just because we saw him in a few events, and he hasn't proven to us that he is able to play at that level, just because like he was beating people who he should be beating and losing to people who are like his exact same skill tier. So none of them were like bad losses, and he never really started playing bad, but we kind of saw a little less of him and didn't see these breakout performances. But past couple events we've seen him at, really been looking good. He won the last like 3 sets on Moki, which is great. So None, I think, is a player who's been rapidly improving, or rather getting back to the level he used to be. I don't think this is the place to show it off at in winners quarters versus Axe, unfortunately.
Yes.
Axe, I think, has that pretty solidly.
This is one of those matchups where None has historically... Well, first of all, every time he's played Axe, which granted all happened about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I might add. But this is one of those matchups where None gets destroyed, and he's also it's one of those matchups where None actually goes Ganon. Which might tell you enough you need to know. Yeah.
Well, let's talk
I don't think None has ever taken a game.
That's rough. Let's talk about Falcons who don't go Ganon, and actually Falcons who do take games. So most likely we're going to see S2J Axe, which S2J actually beat Axe this year at, I believe it was Genesis.
Yes, I think.
It was Genesis. It was a Game 5 set. He then ended up losing the next 3, Battle of BC3, Game 5 at Get On My Level, and lost most recently at Smash Summit. But I think that this is something where I definitely think that S2J could do it. I think coming into this, where Axe would be playing None right before, and already not favored in my mind, I think makes me think Axe wins that one. But
yeah, I think the odds are in his favor. Even the set that S2J won was Game 5.
Yeah. S2J, I mean, this year, obviously, he only has that one set, but he has multiple sets in the past. I think that they're players who are pretty close in skill level, even though Axe has had some really great performances this year and kind of leveled up a little more. I don't think it's out of this world that he loses to S2J this event. But yeah, I'd probably say Axe makes it to winners finals. We got an interesting one in the other side of winners semis. We're gonna look at
before we go on.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I said that None never took a game, just for the viewers out there, just so they don't hate me. That's not true. I guess None did take a game off of Axe in 2017 in DreamHack Atlanta. All right, moving on. just wanted to correct that.
The KayB correction corner.
Yeah.
We have Mango Zane. Mango Zane is one of the more back and forth type of rivalries that I guess we've seen.
I think Zane, I want to say Zane has been winning them more lately, or am I going crazy?
Zane has been winning them more. Actually, so the Mango, the latest in the Mango, the Kid, the Goat, and the Mango, had a really funny segment where they walked around and they asked, what is the Mango? They asked different players. And one of the funnier instances was when Zane said, the Mango's losing to me. But that's not the funny part. The funny part is when the person said, do you beat Mango a lot? And he said, Not the last few times, but usually. It was like the only time I think in Zane's career that you could have asked him that where he would have had to respond like that, because like the last 2 times they played directly after this event, he's won both of them. So like, it's so funny that there's probably like a sliver of time where you could have asked Zane that question and he would have had to respond like, I usually do, but not recently. But yeah, so we saw Mango win at GTX last year and then won the first time they played this year at Summit. Both were Game 5. These guys are like constantly going to Game 5, but Zane won the last 2. This is hard to say. I think like this is another toss-up. Probably Zane favored, considering how we've seen it go recently, but like it's a slobber knocker when these two play.
Yeah.
One of the more fun things to see.
Yeah. Well, or depressing.
It is fun for some people, I guess. It's not me. Okay, so I was watching Low Tier City when they played. I believe it's game 1, where there's a moment where Mango is like giving him the business, just like demolishing him. And I'm watching this and I'm just like, Zane is going to take the first stock. And he does. Mango dies at like 40 or something like that. After like a minute straight of just like hit after hit after hit, just like positional advantage. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, Mango.
It's like M2K Mango, like the good old days.
Yeah, kind of. It's like it's a new beast. But yeah, I think that's a good example. I think Zane and Mango. You're right. Maybe it's not fun. I think there's some very fun moments, but I think there's some very extremely unfun moments.
No, they're good sets. I mean, I'm exaggerating when I say it's like not fun. I do think they're good sets, but there are definitely moments where I'm just like, no, not like this. Yeah. So, yeah. So should we go to losers or grand finals? Or winners finals?
Yeah, we don't usually touch losers a ton, just because it's like so hard to.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Talk about like what might happen in winners, and then that obviously breaks up losers. So yeah, let's talk about winners and grands, and then maybe we'll talk about some players who we think might make. Okay, actually, let's do this before. Are there any players who might strike you as able to make like kind of deep losers runs before we get into top 3 of the event?
Okay, this might sound a little crazy.
Yeah.
Kalamazoo.
That is crazy because you know why?
Why?
I was gonna say Duck. So Duck and Kalamazoo have to play in losers if the projected bracket's correct, which means if KayZ beats Albert and loses to Mango, and if Duck loses to Face Roll, they would play in losers. Yeah, let me hear what your KayZ thoughts are. Or do you still, in this scenario, do you still think that he loses to Mango and then goes through, or does he lose to Albert early and then go through a different path?
I think if Duck and Kalamazoo play each other, because so this is me speaking as someone who's a Samus main, is that for the Peach matchup, I know Duck is like infamously good at the Peach matchup.
Yes.
And part of the reason is he used to shit on Kalamazoo, like when they were in Michigan. But if you're not practiced in that matchup, that matchup can go very wrong very fast. And that's assuming that they even play, assuming that Duck doesn't lose earlier or wins later or keeps winning. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen there. And I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, well, like, Kalamazoo is the wildest person. Because the interesting thing is, what if Kalamazoo plays Amsa?
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting.
I think you're right. I think so KayZ, I have the dumb Peach thing that I assume that you would call the dumb Samus thing, where you love all the players who play your character.
Yes.
I wonder if it's like how much this scales. Do Fox players love all Fox players? I feel like that's not the case.
I don't know. I feel like Ambi is usually like, this Fox is sick, this Fox is sick. I don't think he's ever talked bad about like a good Fox.
Yeah, but like, do you feel the connection? Like, I all Peach players, and I want all Peach players to do well.
I don't know. I've met a bunch of Samus players who are like, hugs.
Yeah.
So I don't
like
know.
we said earlier, joking on hugs is over.
Yeah, joking on hugs.
Canceled. Yeah, that's fair, I guess. KayZ is such a weird player to me, where he is the NorCal people who just don't play. I don't know how often he plays. I don't know if he touches a GameCube outside of large events. If he touches a GameCube controller, I guess.
Yeah.
He's definitely a solid player. The fact that Lod beat Amsa is not incredibly surprising to me, but I would also say that Lod is the type of player who I would say would do better against Amsa. Might just be a personal thing.
He's a very solid fundamental style that's very hard to. That is very universal across all matchups, I will say, especially against a character that loses as hard to Peach as Yoshi.
Yeah, I do think that KayZ could possibly beat Amsa. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but yeah, I don't know. I would say, in my estimation of cool losers runs, I think that if Duck were to beat Kalamazoo here, if he were to beat KayZ, which like you said earlier, when they played, Duck was historically good at the Samus Peach matchup. And was good. Well, kind of bullied him around when they played at locals. But yeah, so he gets to play Duck. He gets to play Amsa, and that's an interesting one to me. Like, that is.
Yeah, actually, now that you say this,
that's kind of the time for him to prove. We've seen Amsa lose to Hugs. We've seen him lose to Duck last Evo, but we've also seen Amsa kind of do well against Samus after this, like after those losses. So
yeah, and he's beaten Amsa before. He's beaten none very recently.
Last Evo that they played at, which was Evo 2018, he beat him, and I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I wonder if it's a good matchup because it doesn't seem tempting to go Sheik.
Yeah.
I think that's probably Duck's path to success here, is to not feel tempted to go Sheik.
Yes.
Even though Sheik does, I guess the common knowledge would be that Sheik would do well versus Yoshi. Sheik's combo weight just seems like it would be very solid for Amsa, and I think since Duck already has had a good thing going with Samus versus Yoshi, I'd say it's probably no reason to give that up. So in a world where that happens, he might play none. He might play none or West balls. Regardless, I think that's all doable. And then would most likely, in my estimation, have to play Zane, or I have to play Mango.
Yeah.
And we already talked about Mango.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this could be a really solid run to top 8 or even top 6 for Duck. It would take a couple moving parts to happen, but there's a possibility where we see him go on a really big run and kind of show that he is still just as good as he was.
I still think that I think Kalamazoo might be an interesting pick here. Just maybe.
Yeah, no,
but
you're definitely onto something. I'm not saying you're wrong.
You know what was actually really funny to me is just imagining Zayo's losers run right now.
Yeah.
he beats Ben, he beats Free Palestine, then he has Duck.
Oh.
So and then he gets Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Which, and then he gets Ansa, which he probably won't beat Ansa because Ansa knows the matchup now. But if there's any character that Ansa would lose to...
That's a good call. Zio has the heart of the champion, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that would be really funny if that happened. I'm not going to dwell on that too longer. I don't think it's going to happen. Just it's a fun thing to point out. But
no, that is definitely a good possibility. That's a really great pick for a player who... Obviously, seeing Duck or KayZ make a run to 9th or top 8 would be kind of surprising, but not out of the realm of possibility. Seeing Zio make it to top 8, that is a nuts one. Yeah, I think that's a great pick.
Especially at looking at this entrance list, at this kind of tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that pick. Let's move on to what we think about the top. So I think we both are saying that winners finals is going to be Axe and Mango, or Axe and Zane, right?
Yeah. That's interesting. I think that's more interesting than I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can't believe I'm ever saying that a match between Axe and a Marth would ever be interesting. Yet here we are. Zane has done the impossible, even managed to make us think he might even beat Axe.
Don't throw on we. I want to throw
Oh,
on
you don't
we.
think so?
I think that this is something that what is usually reserved for playing HBox, but this is the type of way that people look at this, where they always think that they're going to get closer and closer and closer until eventually the dam breaks and they're going to win. It's just like, I think we've done this for like a year now, where we've watched Zane get so close to beating Axe, and each time we tell ourselves that each set is closer. I don't know if it's true, and it's been like that for so long. Is Zane able to beat Axe? Yeah, I think he can, I guess. Like, we've seen so many things in Melee in 2019 that I can't legitimately rule it out as a possibility. But is it getting closer? I don't know. I would probably say no.
Okay, here's my take on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Axe is going to beat Zane, maybe 3-1. Let's say 3-1. It's going to be 3-1. And then Zane beats whoever's in losers. It's probably Mango. Comes in winners. Beats Axe 3-2. Grand final set 1. And then Axe wins set 2. Maybe with a 3-0. I think that's not outside of the possibility.
No, that seems possible, I guess.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. You heard it here first. That's everything to score everything.
I mean, hey, Melee Stats Deep Dives has a good track record for talking about events that Axe ends up winning.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Melee Stats Deep Dives if we didn't mention that I called him winning Summit. Well, where would we be without that? Yeah, I think most likely we will see. Probably, I don't really think that Mango has any way of getting below third here unless he. Actually, you know what? There's a very likely chance that he could run into AMSA. They would be on the same side of the bracket if AMSA loses to S2J and he loses to Zane, as we both predicted. So there is a likely chance that he could run into AMSA. I think that's kind of scary for him. But considering how
maybe
he was looking to turn the corner the last time they played, and
yeah,
I don't think I feel incredibly scared maybe as I would before if he were to play AMSA.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking at the bracket, possibly could lose to AMSA, but I think his biggest threat here is Zane. And yeah, it's pretty likely outcome that we could see Mango out at third, losing to Zane twice. And if that's the case, I really think that Axe has this pretty solidly.
He even dodges like all the sheiks as well.
Axe has scary people in bracket. Well, in the attendees list, none of which are in his bracket.
Yes.
Like, this is a bracket where if Bananas were still going, there's a good chance that he could play Bananas in winners quarters. He dodges Bananas. Yes. He doesn't have to play Spark or Face Roll. Even like, I'm trying to think. Like Duck, to use a weird example. He had close sets with Duck.
Yeah.
And he doesn't...
And Westballs too. He has close sets with Westballs as well, but he doesn't even face him either.
No,
so...
all of these scary people are not on his side of the bracket, or would take kind of a pretty good upset to get there. I think like there's a world where Army is scary for Axe right now, but
it's terrifying.
In order for him to be scary at this event, he would have to beat AMSA and S2J.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Or he'd have to be like AMSA and Spark if Spark beats S2J. Like the events that would have to align for this to be something that we see in bracket doesn't seem very likely. So like as it stands right now, Axe's bracket is really solid. He could,
I think,
like we could see Mango actually win this one. This is obviously we've kind of been counting him out, but Mango is a type of player who does well against both these players and has lost to both of these players.
Yes, I think this is pretty solidly Axe favored in general. Mango, I think, I don't know. It's just Mango is going to face two players that he's I mean, he's a god, right? Like,
yeah.
Gods are not supposed to lose, right? But Mango is now on, like, I would say, it's probably fair to say a losing streak against both of these players. So I don't know. It would be really cool, but to do it 3 sets in a row, I would really like to see it. But the odds, in my opinion, are not, I don't think, in his favor.
Yeah. I think that he could definitely beat Axe. That seems pretty doable to me. The way that they played was they kind of had this like back and forth thing going on, where Axe won the last one, but Mango won the one before that at Gommel. Axe won the one before that, and then Mango won the last two, and like the back and forth, that kind of thing. So I could definitely see there's a possibility where Mango beats Axe. I don't think that's out of I don't think that's crazy to say. Like, I'm not out of my mind if I'm saying that Axe is going to lose to Mango. But it's something we run into where Mango's bracket is so much scarier than Axe's bracket. You have to think that, like, in order for Mango to play Axe, he's going to have to beat Zane, who is already a player that's tough for him. And Axe doesn't have that person on his side of the bracket. So, just going into it, like, having to mentally prepare yourself for two players who are definitely, like, scary and can kill you off of single openings, like Marth or Pika can. Yeah, that's probably, like, a little harder to prepare than what Axe will be preparing for. So, I think what it comes down to, I think the people who have the most likely chances to get first at this event are Axe and Mango. And I think that the Mango is also, like, most likely to get third.
Yes. What a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, 2019, baby. This is what we're doing. We're talking about how Mango is, like, least likely to win this tournament out of the people here. Actually, I didn't say Zane is less likely to win, I would say, because the one thing that Zane would have to do is
he has to beat Axe. Regardless of what he has to do, he has to beat Axe.
Yeah, I
think
with
this bracket, Axe isn't losing to anyone before winners finals. And
imagine that Axe does lose to someone before winners finals. It's S2J, like, most likely. And that's, like,
that's true.
Those are probably, like, all things considered, I was thinking about this the other day, the two scariest people for Zane and bracket. Scarier than HBox and Wizzy, scarier than Plup. I think that S2J and Act are the two scariest people that Zane can see in bracket. So this is actually kind of a tough draw for Zane. I think he has a really good shot at getting, like, second this event. Obviously, you said, he could take a set. I think that's possible. I think he could win, but, like, not really what I expect from him at this. I think I would probably go Axe. Axe is my pick. Mango outside chance. And Zane, hey, if Zane wins, Edwin's coming back to Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about Smash Camp about? We're running near the end of the show, so we're going to kind of wrap up. Any, like, burning desires that you need to get out of your system when talking about Smash Camp?
3-on-3 basketball.
3-on-3 basketball should be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Too bad no KGH. But aside from that, no, I think that we've covered enough. I think there's a lot of side events going on, like there's Rivals, P+ for all those other players that are attending. Cabins, which I'm actually not sure what that is.
Cabins is just where they're staying.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so no, I think that, that
I do like that you shout out their lodging. Hey, this is cool, guys. People are staying in cabins. I mean,
I thought that was just a really convoluted way of saying crew battles, but
your brain's thinking too much.
Yeah, it really is.
This is your Ivy League brain. You can't possibly perceive the dumb thing can be the true thing.
Oh man, Melee Stats is just an Ivy League shithole.
I mean, like, half of Melee Stats. I'm in the blue collar side of Melee Stats. I'm working on the Melee Stats doc.
Oh man,
I'm watching you guys in your ivory towers. They're talking about Duck and Zane. I'm a Zamu guy. Zamu is definitely the
Zamu Lego,
the blue collar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, as we've said in the past, if you listen to the past few episodes of the show, we've been slowly developing a new slogan. We are not scabs. We are not snitches. We are Zamu fans. We added on an addendum to that last episode when I had my Twitch clip commentary special with Webs, where it was, we are not scabs, we are not snitches, we are zombie fans, we are also not racists. And
well, always important to add.
I do want to add an addendum to that this week. I am going to...
but do you have something to say? Do I not want to hear this?
I am coming out as a racist. I'm sorry. No, I am not. However, I don't want to speak for all of Melee Stats. I don't know. I don't know what happens behind closed doors, and I think if someone were to say something, the egg would be on my face. I'd look like a fool. It'd be so hypocritical. So I'm going to take off the racist part of the Melee Stats slogan. I'm going to keep it as, we are not scabs, we are not snitches, we are Zamu fans. Right now, that racist part, that's gone in the trash. I'm not racist. I want to say that. And I know that the members of Melee Stats that I know, as far as I know, are not racist. But in order to not get into a public relations snafu, in case something happens, think of the joyride people would have if something comes out and then people are like, wait a second, your slogan says you're not racist. As of today, we are officially changing the unofficial slogan back to the part that doesn't mention racism.
All right, Mr. Economically Ravenclaw.
Hey. I'll have you know, I suffer for my social justice. Someone the other day called me, my friend's roommate called me a PC SJW warrior.
Oh no!
And I said, "What is this? An ATM machine? What the hell is an SJW warrior?" But yeah,
I will tell you ahead of time that hopefully that person will not be me, and you will not have to write a tweet longer specifically.
I don't think we're gonna
concerning KayB.
I don't think we're going to have to at all. But the future is a crazy one. You never know what holds.
I promise I won't say anything racist for your sake.
If anyone in Melee Stats is going to say something racist, think about me first.
Yes. I assure you, if anything sounds racist, I'm sure it wasn't supposed to be racist.
This is a weird turn this episode's taken.
Well, anyway.
Obviously, Melee Stats does not condone racism. What is this? What does this episode come to where I have to say this? If you would like to support us and our lack of racism, you can do so at patreon.com/Melee Stats. We have, obviously, the podcast, and we have When's Melee. Every now and then, we try to think about what other pieces of content people might like to see, and we're always kind of thinking of stuff. So even if there's nothing that might be publicly on the horizon, we're always trying to surprise you guys with little things, and especially the patrons, we try to give a little perks. So if you want to support us, obviously, it is so incredibly freeing for the content creators of Melee Stats to have the ability to make this content that we love to put out. And it's really Patreon that lets us do that. If you want to talk to us, we already mentioned the Discord. The Melee Stats podcast Discord is in the description as well. You can follow Melee Stats at Melee Stats Pod on Twitter, and you can follow my friend at... Okay, it's either the KayB guy or that KayB guy. And I found this out last night. Did you know I didn't follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, I actually got a weird notification from some guy to give me that week.
And I was like, do I really not follow you? So I am a follower of the KayB guy. TheKaybGui. I'm a follower of the KayB guy on Twitter, and I implore everyone else to also follow him, especially if you like to see Melee results from international locations. Definitely one of the cooler aspects of his Twitter, and that one meme he had that was funny like a year ago.
Let's not talk about that.
That was a good one. No, that was good.
It did go viral, but
yeah, for sure. Kay, this is the end of the episode. Is there anything that you want to say before you go? This is your first time on any Melee Stats podcast with me. This is your first time on Deep Dive specifically.
Yes, it's been a long time since I've done one of these because I live in South Korea, so it's really hard to schedule anything because time zones and busy life and all that. But so who knows? The next time we'll be on one of these. Maybe it'll never happen again. Maybe it'll happen in a month's time. We'll see. But yeah. So this was fun. I really enjoyed doing this again.
Yeah, I had a good time. I had a good long time.
A good long time. Wow, this went longer than I thought.
This is like every single episode we do where I go in and I'm like, it's probably not going to be much longer than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? If there is someone who I'd like to do a podcast with that reaches the 1 hour and 45-minute mark as we are rapidly approaching, I would love for it to be you. So thank you so much for being on this podcast.
That warms my heart. My friends at home who are at school who are probably listening to this would probably not feel the same way about me. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on. Thank you, all the listeners, for listening this far. And for Melee Stats, I am KayB, and I will see you guys next week.
Yeah, I'm KayB, and you probably won't see me for some time, but it was fun. I hope to be on here again.